beautiful people. It is actually Sunday, June 29th. We have one more day of June. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? But I'm actually starting this video today because I actually want to start my July TBR early. I'm done with my June reading, and so we can actually be productive, okay? We could be proactive and start reading early. I'm telling you that there ain't no other way. It matches the green in the books that we're reading this week. So we're going to be reading The Resemblance. This is book 1 in the Marlett series. Let me see her full name. Detective Marlett Kaplan. Okay. I've seen most people have this one, which we're going to read after this one, which is The Professor. Many people have this one that I've seen, at least in the booktube world, the booktubers who I watch. And I haven't seen anyone talk about The Resemblance. So go pick up book 1, y'all. If you have The Professor, go pick up book 1. Now this, I believe, from what I read so far, can be read as a standalone. So if you did read this one, you should be able to go back and read this one, and you kind of know the characters, but you're following Detective Marlett Kaplan in this one, and this book centers around University of Georgia. So I'm happy to jump into these books, and I can't wait to give you my first impressions of them. And so good morning, beautiful people. It is Monday, June 30th, the last day of June. I hope you are doing well and gonna have a productive day. I have my banana here at my desk, and I also have my book. I started it yesterday, but I only got to page 8, so we're gonna try to make it a little bit further on my breaks and lunch today. So we'll see how far we get. Having a great year so far, a great month so far. But anyway, I wanted to catch you up on how far I am on The Resemblance by Lauren Nossett, and I am not that far, y'all. I'm only in chapter 5, which is basically page 72. These are long chapters. You see how long the book is, okay? So you're getting a lot of description in this book. It is a mystery suspense type of thriller book, and the main character is telling the story. So she's the narrator. She's walking you through. She's a detective, and her name is Marlett Kaplan. And Marlett Kaplan's mother is actually a professor at University of Georgia, and so that's where the story starts. She's in her mother's office. They're like talking. She's reminiscing in her mind, which she does a lot of. She does a lot of this reminiscing and describing everything, girl, in the story, okay? And as they are doing that, they hear screaming college students running around, some commotion that's out on the street. And so she runs out because she's a detective, and she finds that it has been a hit and run. A student is on the ground. His phone is shattered. Apparently he was on the phone walking, and it was green light, red light, yellow light. You know how, if you've been to college or you live near a college town, you know how they just city walk. They're going to go when they want to go. But Detective Kaplan finds something strange. Something is off about the students that were around, what else? The students that were around. It was one girl crying, and then there was something off about how he was hit and why he was hit, and she finds out soon enough that he was part of a frat. And this character, why I'm calling this lady doctor? She's not a doctor. She's a detective. The detective does not like. She has a thing against fraternities and sororities. Now her points, because she's gonna tell you her points multiple times. Like, she has a strong, this main character has a strong disdain for number one, college students, not just the frats and sororities. She does not like irresponsibility. She doesn't like immaturity, the lack thereof. She constantly talks about the drinking and their underage drinking, the parties, and the harm that's being done to these girls, and some of this while they're conscious or unconscious, some of this while it's consent and no consent. Like, she does not like frats or sororities. Now, she does drop some research in here of the Lauren Nossett, because Lauren herself was a former professor, and I believe she taught German literature. It was something like that she taught. So she does drop a little bit of facts, because anytime an author drops stats or some piece of information, I do go look it up. So she mentions that sorority girls are women who are part of sororities are 74% more likely to be touched or sexually assaulted than those who aren't. And we know how a lot of these colleges and frats and sororities, a lot of them are. I've been in college before, been there, done it. So a lot of what she's describing in here, what she's seeing, I'm like, yep, I remember that. I remember frat row. Like, every college got their frat row. University of Maryland had one too. And so we're getting through her eyes how she's investigating the story, her point of view of talking with the students that were there, the frat boys. We also get a glimpse of her partner, who is a guy. He's a black male named Teddy, and he is helping her in the investigation. Now, you also are getting a glimpse into her personal viewpoints and why she thinks the way she does. She talks about her parents, and her mom obviously is alive, but the dad isn't, and the dad kind of raised her to be fearful. The dad was like, no, don't get on this bike, wear a helmet, or do this, do that. He was very fearful of her being hurt or walking through life, and she kind of maps that out of how that kind of lingered into her career as a policewoman, because her police chief don't want her to do things that's in the field or take cases that's in the field, because he's worried about her getting hurt. And so in the past, she had to do a lot of paperwork and things of that nature. And she's like, I'm going to take this case. She was very adamant. She wanted the case because she was first on the scene. And so she's like, I deserve the case. So we're at the point now where she and the detective are interviewing a former security guard from the campus. He was fired, but he's giving them some information about the particular fraternity that the student who was hit by the car was a part of. And so she's thinking, oh, maybe is giving somebody in here knows something, they're hiding something isn't quite right. And so, yeah. So that's kind of where we are now with this book. Like I said, it is going to take a while to read. I'm going to try to get a good dent in it tonight, but it's going to take a while to read because it is long. And then some of the descriptions, it's just like, I didn't need to know that. I didn't need to know what her house looked like. I didn't need to know it was a shotgun house and like you could see through from front door to front. And like Lauren is constantly describing every little thing in here, and so some of it to me could have been left out. So if just off rip, if you're one who wants to get right into the story and the mess and what's going on and all all the things, this may not be the best read for you. But if you enjoy mystery, suspense, and you love that lingering, like, oh, Matita, I'm a teeter a little bit interested, but I'm gonna reel it back and then I'm gonna teeter again. If you like that type of stories, then this can be an interesting story. And like I said, it's picking up now. They're at the police station talking to the security guard, like I said, who's giving them some insight on the fraternity overall. He doesn't know what happened to Jay, which is the student who got hit by the car. And what's ironic is they find out they have some like a picture of the person in the car, and it looks just like Jay, who's the boy who got hit. And so they're like, that's a little odd. He has no brothers, he has no cousins, no siblings, but he comes from a wealthy family. So it's like, what's really going on? So that's what's going on in this book. My daughters and I, we stopped at, or we went on a quick run to 2nd and Charles. And so that's fun. It is Wednesday, July 2nd, and it is early evening. And 2nd and Charles actually has some they have some hidden gems. You gotta search through. They have new releases when you walk in. They have the books, and they have a diverse set of books, different genres, right on the front table. So I do love when I can find something there because you get a good price. Don't mind me here, whatever. So let me show you what I got, what I picked up from 2nd and Charles. So first, I picked up Ta-Nehisi Coates' memoir, his memoir, The Beautiful Struggle, and it was only $5.95, y'all, at 2nd and Charles. Only $5.95. And I have been eyeing this even at Barnes, but Barnes has the hardback, and I don't know why that light just went dim, y'all. Hold on, let me, I don't know if that helps. But I'm in my kitchen. I'm making some rib tips, okay? Some rib tips, yellow rice string beans, and some corn on the cob. So we about to eat good tonight. But anyway, so I'm glad I found it. This will go on my TBR. It'll either be possibly my August or September. We'll see when we do the video. And next, I got my first signed copy ever. I found this in they had like a YA section. They also had a section that was titled like books that Book Talk made me get. So that was super funny. But this is a signed copy of Nicola Yoon's book, Instructions for Dancing. As I was looking through it, I even, my receipt fell. Oh, a beautiful hardback here. And okay, and I actually, that's a signature there. I actually saw this book, I believe it was on Lily Reed's, one of her older vlogs. I've seen her read this and review it. I want to say it was Lily Reed's, which aka Kenya. Her name's not, it's Kenya, but her booktube channel is Lily Reed's. Love her channel, love her down, love her channel down. I love everybody's channel. I'm always watching, commenting. So, but this was only $5.95 at 2nd and Charles. So if you have a local 2nd and Charles, okay, go check them out because they might find some gems at a good price. Okay, and let's do a check-in with the Resemblance. So I am on page 136. I'm almost halfway through. Okay, because this book is about 320 pages. So if I read 30 more pages tonight, I'll be halfway through. But I gotta put a dent in this some more, y'all. we're at a point in the story where something happened to one of the detectives. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to spoil the story for you if you decide to read this series. But yeah, so they've been going where we left off. They've been going on the investigation, see who investigating the fraternity and sorority sisters and brothers to see who knows anything, because it's strange of what happened, that the driver was looking like a twin on film, and this guy again doesn't have any siblings and his parents are wealthy. And so something happened to the detective, one of the detectives, and so now we're dealing with that in part 2. So I am in part 2. That's good. But I actually started reading this Sunday a little bit. I cheated. I started late June. It was right at July, so don't get me on that. But each day I've been reading about, I think the most I read was possibly yesterday. Had a good reading day. I think of about 98 pages or something like that. Or not 98 pages. Lord, I'm lying. About 60 to 70 pages. But I'm not getting through this like quickly. It's not that type of read where it's like, oh, you want to read it all day, all night. You don't. Woo, it is nice and windy and hot today, so we are getting our trail walk in. Yeah, we're still getting it in. It's so gorgeous, so beautiful out here. Yeah, but I'll get back to you with my final thoughts on Resemblance. I am back home and I'm in my backyard. It is a very nice day. It's a little breeze. It's warm out here, and so I like to come out here. If you've been watching any of my videos, you know that I do. But anyway, I come to give you my final thoughts on the Resemblance. Now, this is Lauren Nossett's debut novel. It is a mystery suspense novel, and listen, it's pretty good. My final rating would be a 3-star. It is a book where you may get a little bit bored, in a sense, like, okay, can the story pick up? Because you're going through the whole investigation through the eyes of the main detective. The detective has a partner, and she really is close to a partner, almost in the sense where they almost had like a relationship, situationship type of thing going on, but they decided not to go there. And her partner actually has a girlfriend of his own. This character, Detective Marlette Kaplan, is very cynical. She has a cynical view about life, about her job, the outlook on the people, perpetrators, victims, that sort of thing. So her mindset is always looking at, if she's the crime that they're investigating, she's like, no, these group of people did it, specifically some of the people in the fraternity. They are perpetrators within this crime. They all played a role, and she has a lot of this backstory as you learn through this story, that she had a close friend, almost lover, partner, if you will, who unfortunately passed away, and he went up to be a part of a fraternity, and that kind of carries her, that grievance, that pain, that hurt carries over into her job. And so when this issue comes up with the fraternity, she automatically puts guilt. And I'm like, do detectives, police actually think this way? And unfortunately, you may get some that do, that their biases come into or flow into from what's going on in their own lives into their job. So she has a lot of assumptions about the students she's investigating. She went so far to mention that she hopes somebody is the suspect. And that is, listen, that right there I do not like. Hoping that you find something on someone to blame them for something that they did not do, and come to find out this person actually did not commit the crime. So I would say, if you like mystery and suspense, this is a good book to read. Now, the ending was not that glamorous. It was just like, oh, okay, it was this person, okay. But you know, it was still a good story, but I was ready to finish it, so I started reading faster than I normally do so I can get through the book. And so that's what it was on this. But it makes you think about how some police or some detectives, how they look at people who are supposed to be witnesses or suspects, how they play good cop and bad cop, how they use your rights sort of against you in a way. So they mention it on the slide and say, hey, but you're not here, we're not here to be a suspect, even if the person asks, you know, we just want you to answer a few questions for us. We want to get some insight. We want to see what happened to your friend when they're really suspecting you, right? So they kind of lure you with this, we're here for you, yes, we are your friend, we're trying to understand, you know, we get it, right? But they're really going to use that against you. And so I love that Lauren kind of highlights that notion that you really should remain silent until you get your lawyer, and just, they ask you a question, lawyer, I want my lawyer. I'm not saying anything else without my lawyer. If they say, oh, we really have to know this, but this is so-and-so, lawyer. That's basically what you get for this book. Do not say anything. Don't implicate yourself. Don't, even if you're not, even those who are innocent, which all the people they were interviewing sent to their building downtown, they were essentially all innocent in a way, in the sense of the crime itself, the major crime. However, they did find out who did something to the detective, because remember earlier in the earlier clip I said something happened to one of the detectives. I don't want to say who, but you get that in the story. Okay, so is it a must read? No, but anyway, now I'm reading her second book. It's not bad for a debut novel. The second book, The Professor. Now this one is starting to be, it started out way more interesting than the first book. So I'm excited to continue to read this. I'm already on page 50, and this one kind of leaves off of where this ends. Okay, so she is not on the force anymore by the time you get to this one, but she still kind of get lured into doing investigative detective work. You're still at the campus at the university, and this book is basically about one of the professors who is a junior professor and a friend to her mom's. And I won't necessarily, they're at a place where they believe the professor did something or have some implication into another student murder, but they don't really know to what extent, or if so, if they have relations, and that's so forth. So that is in the synopsis. The synopsis is pretty long, so but that's how far I am in this book. And I'm actually going to come back when I finish this, because I don't want the vlog to be too long. But I am enjoying this one so far. It starts right up out the gate of what's going on, leading into the circumstances of what this professor is dealing with. And so I'm excited to see how this ends. So stay tuned so you can get the final thoughts of the professor, okay? So if you haven't already, go ahead. Okay, I am back and here to give you my final thoughts on The Professor. Now, it is Sunday, July 6th. I had a week of mystery, suspense, and thriller, and it was a pretty good reading week. Now, I must say, The Professor, I enjoyed this so much better than The Resemblance. Now, The Resemblance is not a bad book, okay? It's not a bad book. Let's get these authors credit for putting work out there for us to enjoy. But this one grabbed my attention and kept my attention. Now, if you are one who consider like S.A. Cosby, he gets into the story and it's bang, 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 bang. It's not quite like that, but I still appreciate this work. This book it picks up 4 months after everything that went down in The Resemblance. Now, do you have to read The Resemblance before you read this one? No. You can literally read this as a standalone and still get the gist of what's going on, because you get a brief recap of what happened at the end of Resemblance in here as well. This book touches on a few central themes that I think are highly important and should be talked about even more, and that is moral ambiguity. That is also talking about identity issues, and the identity issues from the perspective of a student or a young adult, as well as the professor, the teacher, the older adult. And not say old, because some of these, I think some of the characters in here were like 29 or 26, you know, in the high 20s. Or late 20s. You're also running the theme of looking at when to lie, why to lie. The detective in this book, she takes the approach again of, let me go into this investigation. She kind of gets lost in it, and she comes up with all these lies because she starts to move in and talk to the students who were around this person, Ethan, and his room obviously becomes up for rent or sublet, and she ends up diving in and say, okay, I'm gonna move into his room for a couple months to see what's really going on. And you know, it's so many topics on here that I thoroughly enjoyed that were important. Now, this book is going to give you 3 points of views, and the 3 POVs are very interesting because you're not just getting the detective, who is Marlette Kaplan, just like you did in Resemblance. In this one, you're getting the detective Marlette Kaplan's point of view and perspective and her life and how she thinks. And remember, in the last book, she is very assumptive in a lot of her, she makes a lot of presumptuous kind of conclusion, or have a lot of cynical thoughts, but she's very observant, she's kind of alert, she's vigilant, seeing what's going on from all descriptions or details, obviously, because she's a detective, right? Then you get the point of view also from the professor, who is also her mother's friend, because her mother's a professor at University of Georgia in Athens. And the professor that this book is about is the professor who also teaches German literature, and she is not from here, so she's dealing with a lot of internal identity issues, like, are these students going to accept me? The faculty doesn't even feel like they accept me. They're like, oh, another Muslim German, and they call her, some of the students say like, oh, you need to go back Iran, and she's not even from Iran. So it's like her going through the emotions of not being accepted, even with her boyfriend's family, because none of her family is here. And so you're getting that while you're going through the story. You're also getting the crazy third perspective of the student who's not alive anymore, the student where this is what the case is all about. And so you're getting his perspective from a narrative point of view. This is pretty good. Like I said, you're dealing with more ambiguity, because before, you know, it's at the beginning when they're trying to figure out, or they're saying that the professor, you know, had an affair with the student and may have gotten the student on drugs, and none of this, remember, saying this without evidence. And that's why I tell this, do people really think this way? It's not just detectives, it is people. Some of the staff, some of the students have already thrown her under the bus, have already assumed that, oh, she should go in the hole. She should be thrown away because they heard in the media that she's being questioned, mind you. No evidence has presented so that she had, of the allegations, that she's guilty of the allegations. And it's like, I find it interesting that we sometimes complain and argue that police or detectives, okay, we're certain people, as a lot from the Black experience, you get a lot of times where you feel like people were found guilty or assumed to be guilty, even without due process, even without evidence. It's an assumption. If somebody accuses you of something, you must have done it, right? And we get that where there's a lot of cases where people have been proven innocent and still been put to death have been proven innocent, and years later, 30 years later, have been acquitted or released because of false allegations, you know. And we see that not just from the detective point, but from the civilians, the people themselves. And we have to look at that as a society. You don't know all the information, so we have to learn to stop assuming. Stop making assumptions about people that you do not know. Stop with we have to check our biases at the door. And this is what this book is going to explore all the way through. It's a very interesting story. It kept my attention. I loved it so much more than the first book. I would say read this one. I would give this book around a 3.75. It's not quite a 4 because my 4s are like, ooh, my 4s are like, yes, bangers, and I rate them between 4 to 4.75. Hold on, I have my music in the background. Not quite a 4 for me. I don't know, but I definitely would give it minimum 3.75, and I would say this is, if you have this book, it's a good book to read. It, you know, especially if you like storytelling, especially if you like multiple themes being addressed when you're talking about society and social preference or fitting in, or how people will look at you as soon as they hear something that you're accused of without even knowing you or knowing the person that's accusing you, so forth and so forth. And so I enjoyed this book. I'm going to wrap up this vlog. Now stay tuned for my next vlog, because this next week I'm going to be reading all romance this week. And it's probably going to be fluffy romance books, light romance where I can enjoy and get through quickly. Okay? Because this week I only got two full books, because the Resemblance, I was taking all day to read that one. This one I read a little much faster. All right, so if you enjoyed this vlog, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you read this book already? Do you have it on your TBR? I know one of the booktubers friends, you know, she had it. Let me know if you read it yet. And yeah, and I'll see you next time in the next vlog. And in the meantime, in between time, you know what I'm going to say. If you've been here, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to say, keep rising.